Hello guys, this is Pixel Affair. My name is Kobe and I say Akwaba to you all. In today's video, I'm going to break down how I did this. Yeah, so this is a logo animation, basically a sting or a bumper I did for City TV, a television station in Ghana. So let's dive right into the project. So here I have it here, and it's as simple. It's a basic Cinema 4D stuff. Now, before I continue, I'll kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel to support me so that I can go ahead and do a lot more of such videos and almost everything from Cinema 4D, After Effects, Photoshop, Illustrator, everything, and visual effects, character, anything that I know, I can go ahead and do stuff like that and more interesting and fun stuff. Thank you for subscribing. So let me bring back the video so that we can scrub through and see what happened actually. So you can see it starts with just a City TV text, and like some lights come, it explodes, and a lot of things start revealing. Then it goes back. Now it forms the whole City TV logo. It's really simple. So let me go back into the project, and you can see I have the City TV text here. It can be anything. So all I did was I added it to the Voronoi fracture, and I added effectors. There's no dynamics or anything. So all I added was just a random effector. So here I have the Voronoi fracture with the you can see we have. So let me actually disable it, and you can see we have the CT everything in here. Then just fracture it. Then I'll add a random effector, and let me simply show you how I did the fracture. So let me copy, edit, copy, and open a new tab to show you. So I paste it here, and you can see it's just the City TV text, right? Can actually bring it out here. So I'll actually delete this and go back to the process again. So all I did was come to morph, add Voronoi fracture, copy, drag and drop it into it, and instantly we have fractures. You can see we have the fractures. It's broken it down into individual elements in here. So all I have to do is come to the source, see the source on distribution, and increase it to how I want it, the number of breaks I want, and you can increase it as much as you want, but the more you go, the slower it becomes. So basically that's all I did. Now, one thing about using more text or any of them is you have to make sure you come to the caps and make sure it's single object created, or else when you actually explode it, you can see it's sort of shells. You don't feel the thickness of the object. So when it's single object, when you have the text, you come here to the caps and it's single object. Now when you break it, you can see it feels like random take object. So all I did was use the random effector. So now with the Voronoi selected, I come to morph effectors, and I use the random effector, and you can see instantly it starts randomizing its positioning. And because you come to the random and you come to the parameter, you see the position Y, X, and Z like 50 centimeters each, meaning it's randomizing them on 50. So if I increase it, you can see how it goes. So basically this is what I used, and I animated the strength. So I did this and I animated the strength. Of course, I added a bit of rotation and stuff in here, and I animated the strength. So basically that's it. And what I was talking about with the thickness, you can see you feel like individual, like thickness of the element. But for instance, let me go in here, let me select all of them and uncheck the create single object, and let's see what happens. You can see now it begins to get it looks like some flat elements. You don't feel the thickness because it doesn't recognize it as a whole element. It sees as some flat shells that combines to form the text. So it's important when you're using the text object or extrude object, you make sure a single object is checked. So let me go back to the project. So here I have it, and these are the so one random effector, and you can see if I play through how it happens, begins to, and it gets to the end. Now it comes back again to its normal state, and I added another random. So I used one random for just the position, which is the Z. I used one random effect for just that, the Z position, and I used another one for the position and rotation to give it a bit of variation. So this one was to move it back and forth. The first one was to move it the back and forth, so that like it comes very quite closer to the how do you call it, the camera. And this one does the side and side, and side and up, and a bit of the front. And this one does the rotation. Now I added a push effector so that like the logos don't try not to intersect, especially with the globe and the other wings, the other part of the logo, because that one a lot of elements were in there. So that's basically it. And when you have this setup, you can actually replace it with any object. So I can actually come in here and uncheck, or probably put in, let's say, this here. I'll drag and drop it in the Voronoi fracture, and you can see instantly, yeah, our animation is affecting it. So boom, then it comes back. So anything, immediately you set it up, you can now drop in anything, and you are good to go. So, and it's the same thing I use, same animation, everything I used for the other ones. So I have the other ones here, which I'll actually bring on. So I enable it, and you can see now we have the other ones also showing. And it's the same thing, it uses the same random and push effector animation. Now it has a bit of a lot going on in there, so it's a bit slow, but you can see what's happening in here. So you see it explodes the sides, the rings of the logo. Then I don't know what's happening with this, but come to effectors. Yeah, supposed to explode. Yeah, so you can see now the sphere 2 is also exploding. Let me uncheck the bevel. It makes it slow. Yeah, actually, oh, okay, so I use the bevel to give it, you can see it feels a bit, let me actually zoom out, get out of the camera, and you can see it gets a bit very sharp at the edges. So I use the bevel deformer to give it that, to bevel the edges to make it a bit smoother, so that it can catch reflections, but it actually slows the things down. So I applied it when I was rendering. So that's what the bevel deformer is doing. So basically that's all I did in here. All right, so I animated it back and forth, like just the strength of the random, and so the push effector as well. And you can see, if I can see, it's coming close to the camera, and I went ahead, added my textures, which are just basic colors with reflections and all that, and I rendered. But what I did is I rendered it separately. So I rendered the text separately, and I rendered the other part of the logo separately. And then when we come back to the video, you can see we have this other elements, these newspapers, discs, and stuff like that. Those were done separately. So I also have that one here, and you can see, so these ones were separate from the other ones, and these ones too. Let me actually, yeah. So this one used just, I added it to just a clonal object. So your individual elements. Let me zoom out of the camera. Where's my camera? Get out of the camera, and you can see it's individual elements. So you can see all the umbrellas and stuff, football, like laptop, the independent square. They are all individual elements, the newspapers and everything. But also I added it to a clonal object, enable the cloner, and I set to grade, increase 5 by 5 by 5, and now I applied the same effector, the random and everything to it. And you also use the same camera animation because I rendered this one too separately as well. So that's basically the whole setup for the logo breakdown. So now I render everything separately and I take it into After Effects. So let's get into After Effects and see how that part 2 was done. So in this part 2, this is it in the After Effects. You can see I have the City TV logo here. It explodes. Now I combine the two. So let me actually. So this is the text. I think you can see this is just the text exploding. So and now I'll come back to this one too, and you can see this is just, I think, the sphere and the other part of the logo exploding as well. Comes when it explodes, and the other element. So this one's also here, and that one too also does the same thing. It's quite simple as that. But what I actually did was, so I animated the scale so that it actually comes in with the text and everything, because this one was a bit smaller and these ones were also a bit bigger. So I made it from 0 and now it begins to scale in. You can see the bounding like points around it, show you how it's scaling in. And when you got to the end, I animated it out. I did the same thing, I think, for the text as well. So that's basically how I set it up. I combined the two and now later started adding elements. So I think one of the elements I added was let me see in here. I added particles, like quite some particles at the back. So I think this is the particles. I added these particles in here. And the shockwave, I think this is a video copilot shockwave. Like I added this one to it. And another thing, let's see, this is the background. So those are the basic things I added. And I went ahead and rendered. So it's quite simple. You don't need a lot of technique, just adding normal more fracture objects, exploding it and rendering it separately and bring it into After Effects, add your other stuff, element and everything, and you render it. It's really simple. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe, very important. Please kindly subscribe. Thank you.